Ready? Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Village of Vernon Village Board meeting. Today is Thursday, March 2nd, 2023. It's 7 p.m. I will call the Village Board meeting to order with a pledge of allegiance and a standing moment of silence.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Roll call and open meeting law compliance check.
President Fortner,
Present.
Trustee Swann,
Present.
Trustee DeGray. Present. Trustee Newman,
Present.
Trustee Dasher.
Present.
This meeting was noticed and posted according to law.
Thank you. We're on agenda item 4, which is an announcement of a closed session, consideration and possible action on a motion to convene into executive session under Wisconsin statutes 19.85 1C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, specifically interviews and a review of candidates for the Director of Public Works and DPW mechanic, and Wisconsin statutes 19.85 1E, deliberating or negotiating the purchase of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session, more specifically, the RFQ proposals for the Center Drive Bridge design work, and Wisconsin statutes 19.85 1G, conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved, more specifically, case number 2020CV 001233 Scenic Ridge of Big Bend Homeowners Association, Inc. versus Village of Vernon. In closed session will be the Village of Vernon Board of Trustees, Village Administrator Clerk, Village Attorney may attend in person or attend via Zoom or telephone, and candidate for the Director of Public Works position. Motion will require a roll call vote. No action will be taken in closed session. That was a mouthful. Okay, well, we'll go to number 5, public comments. Anybody here to make a public comment? Yes, sir. Could you come up to the microphone? Let's make sure that's on, and please state your name. That is not on. State your name and address for the record. And then we'll get to the Waukesha Sheriff.
I guess I'm turned on.
Yeah, you're on.
I have a statement, and I'd like to share this proposal, this letter that I drafted tonight. I want to give you a copy of this for yourself, and I would like to read it to you. There's a reason for that. My name is Paul A. Hansen. I'm a resident of River Oaks subdivision, Big Bend here since 1982. I'm probably the most senior resident of that subdivision. I've been friends with the Buttkeys across the street for many years. I've worked with them. And, would you like to copy that? And I'm a concerned citizen. So please allow me to read this. I'll just be 5 minutes of your time and then I'll be out of here. I kind of feel like Mr. Smith going to Washington, by the way. All right, I, Paul A. Hansen, do hereby petition the Vernon Planning Commission, VPC, to change its dated master plan as it applies to the existing roads Silvercrest Drive and Meadowview Lane. The master plan shows that these two roads would continue west into any future development of that Butkey farm. River Oaks Farms was developed in the 60s to comprise about 40 to 45 residences. Not only were our roads carefully designed to provide safe and efficient access to our homes, they help protect and conserve the surrounding flora and fauna all of us so highly value. Extending our roads will result in needless, increased traffic, which will only degrade, erode our safe, serene homelands, our homesteads, and our lifestyles we have so heavily invested in. Report, development of the Butkey land is not per se my issue, but rather any possible future intrusion of my neighborhood by additional and unnecessary access roads is. Any credible developer will be cognizant of this and will only want to create their own access roads off of County L. Surely our VPC is aware of the times have changed, especially since the 60s. The world has changed. There's no reason why the VPC or any credible developer would need or want to intrude or degrade our safe and secure homesteads. Doing that would only be irresponsible, regressive, and in short, dangerous. Furthermore, and this is the most important, every community leader and each citizen has the right and the responsibility to conserve nature within its own boundaries. So as the most senior, probably the most senior resident in River Oaks Farms, I hereby in earnest request that the VPC change the master plan to remove any extensions of our roads in River Oaks Farms into any new development now or in the future. Most respectfully, Paul A. Hansen, Big Bend, Wisconsin. If there are any questions, I'll try to answer them. I'm here by myself, but I want you all to know that every single resident in that subdivision, I walk it every day, sometimes 3 times, and I've been doing it for 42 years with my dogs, agrees with this letter. So this is not a petition signed by 45 people, it's just me.
Thank you, sir. We don't have Q&A afterwards or during, so thank you.
You're most welcome.
Any other public comments this evening? Okay, no further public comments. Waukesha Sheriff is here, Deputy Hollingsworth, and I forget your name now. Lieutenant, oh yeah, I do remember that. Lieutenant Strandberg. Yeah, are here. Any report other than we were joking around a little bit about the conjunction of Jupiter and Venus being identified as a UFO or some such thing? All right, any questions from board members? All right, thank you. And so the public knows that little conjunction is going to be here day over day on clear skies, just getting further apart. All right, we are on to the regular agenda. Grants for Center Drive Bridge and Village Newsletter are A and B, and then we'll go to reports and finances and minutes, and hopefully get into closed session because we've got a lot to talk about in closed session, as you heard from the notice and read your packet. Should we just knock these off quick,
Yeah.
Brad?
So the Center Drive Bridge, we'll talk about that in closed session further, but, there, as we talked about before, there is potential for another grant out there. I have a call to the state to see where that is and what we would potentially qualify for. That wouldn't be 100% funded. 100% funding, and we would not have to contribute 20%, like we currently are. So, it is worth exploring. It's due on the 24th of March, so once I hear back from them, hopefully tomorrow, if it's something that they feel that we would be eligible for, would be worth our time. So maybe we'll put this stuff together, have it for the meeting on the 16th, and then submit if they're saying where we are in our current process that we may not be eligible to do so, that we're still on status quo, we don't lose anything, but I think the important thing is talk to them, fight and fit them out to see what opportunities we have to potentially assist in reducing the cost and the burden on the taxpayers at the end of the day.
Okay, thank you. I put it on because we are going to talk about the RFQs, the contract in closed session, and this is one item that might have come up, and I wanted to make sure it was on the agenda. Newsletter,
I reached out to the former printer, and basically, I think, the question is, we want to continue to use the former printer. I think we paid like $3,500 for printing last time, and then I'm not sure what the postage was, because that was a separate check. We did a 12-page newsletter, so 6 full pages front and back to get 12. To work out a time frame would be to, from once we get it to the printer to in mailboxes is about a 3-week process is what they said. So, the big question is when do we want to get it out, and then also how big of a newsletter would we want to do so. Looking at where we're at, I think to get something done before the election may be a little challenging, seeing that, it kind of times up that way. So I guess the feedback from you guys is, do we want to get something done before the election, or do we want to get something done after the election? And then 2, do we want to continue in the same format where trustees and the village president write articles, or do we want to have it be more staff-driven per se, more informational on, what's upcoming, but talking about, major things. Building inspector can talk about sheds and fences and pools for summer. Fire department talk about firework safety, reminders on garbage and recycling, updates on election stuff. That kind of stuff would be typical of like a spring newsletter. Things like that, park and rec updates, stuff like that. So the question is, when do we want to do it, and then from there, how big do we want it to be, and then what substance do we want in it?
Brad, I know in past years, sometimes that spring newsletter, it's all ready and set to go. They wait for an election. Day after we know who was elected, they put down the election results, and off it goes to the printer. Do you think that's viable?
I think it's viable.
Yeah, so do I. But one other point I think we need to consider is who we're going to have print it.
Right.
And we can explore
We're not using liturgical
liturgical publications anymore.
I don't know why, because that was free.
One story that I got is that it became too cost prohibitive to use them. The other thing I was told is that the village legal counsel recommended that we no longer use them because anybody could place an ad in the newsletter, and we would not want, we don't want to run into the issue where somebody places an ad that is
Inappropriate
inappropriate.
for municipal government? How's that?
Inappropriate for municipal government. I necessarily don't. But I've talked to legal counsel. I know LPI, Liturgical Publications, does numerous newsletters throughout the region, or at least have been doing so. It's not there, so I don't know that. But if we want to explore, we could definitely explore other printing opportunities. I've used other printers besides the Liturgical Publications and Crossmark too in the past for it. So it's just a matter, if you guys want me to go out and look and see what other printers are out there that could do it besides those 2, we can.
I can't see how it could be considered cost prohibitive when it was free. I have a problem with that concept. And I know it was free. We started using LTI when I was the chair back 12 years ago or whatever it was. I don't know how they dealt with the postage. I assume we always paid the postage. Of course, I would assume we also have a bulk postage for things like that. All you need is like 300 copies to qualify for the bulk. And I sent hundreds of newsletters out that way. But I agree with the concept that we probably should hold off actually publishing until after the election, so we have some actual news about the election in it, or we have to publish another one, shortly thereafter. But those new guys on the board could introduce themselves in the fall one as well, and then they might have a little bit more.
To write about, I suppose.
Yeah.
Be in office for 6 months or so.
Right.
Yeah, we missed our fall one, just simply because of the staffing issues, but
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll take direction as to, reach out to LPI and reach out to any other printer that we can to get a cost estimate on what it would be to produce a newsletter.
Because we've used them for years, and they know what we typically do. And they don't expect us to vary too far from how it's been in the past, but except for it might be a little smaller. And I'm not concerned about the advertising so much. In all the years that we've used that, we never had any
Issues?
issues with ads.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that plays into, I guess, in a layman's perspective of legal advice on ads. I mean, numerous communities, sell ads for, banner space on their baseball fields and baseball diamonds, and the
Just-
same, to
just
me,
like we
as a
do.
layman's perspective would, apply there, that we can't prohibit who's advertising on our property or in newsletters, then that would prohibit advertising any other place on village property for any other means, for the village.
Well, we approve those signs. I think we reserve the right to approve the signs. And we're mindful of everybody's First Amendment rights and those kind of things, but if it's inappropriate, I think legal counsel has said we can reject ads. So,
And I'm pretty certain that we had that agreement with LTI, whatever, back when we first started using them, for sure.
that we'd approve them, or they,
Right, that we had some, because they would send us a proof back that had all the ads in them, and then we would either approve it or have them remove one. But like I said, as far as I know, we never had an issue with any ad.
but I would agree that we got to get some quotes or some additional information
Right.
on how much it would cost. I would guess that it'd be approximately the same size. I mean, and I would agree that it should be more. I mean, the whole reason we started the newsletter way back when I was a supervisor back in the late 90s was because there was no newspaper coverage, and there's even less today of
Right.
things happening in Vernon. And so it was supposed to be our newspaper to provide information to our residents about things in Vernon, specific to Vernon. So Plan Commission, new subdivisions, what's coming up for Park and Rec, what the Vernon Board has been up to. I've tried to write that article every year, or every time we have. Just kind of an update of what's going on, the budget, our challenges, cost of the roads and refinancing the debt. A bunch of things that I've put in there over the years, so. But it's just specific to Vernon News, and if the staff, wants to, I mean, a lot of those articles were just carried over from one to the next. Well, we don't need to have a little article to say clean up after your dog, or, the same fire department article over and over. Be nice to get further information, particularly like stormwater information and all kinds of things, subdivision, stormwater responsibility, Any other comments? Do you think, Brad, you have enough direction? 'Cause we're running out of time, so if you're writing an article, start writing your article. Farewell articles, as the case may be. Okay, anything further on that?
That's all I have.
All right. Correspondence, announcements, and reports. Village President, you see the committee openings in the agenda. Just briefly here, I did comment about the conjunction of Jupiter and Mars. It was spectacular, and it's still continuing. They're just going to get further apart, so don't call 911. And the deer are out all over the place, I've noticed. And ballots are out, Brad, March 14th, if you sign up for an absentee.
That's when they have to be mailed out.
Right, in-person absentee is March 21st. Voting is April 4th at Big Bend Elementary. And that's my report, Trustee Swanning.
I have nothing new.
Trustee DeGray.
Nothing.
Trustee Newman.
Nothing.
Trustee Dashik.
Nothing to report.
All right. Sheriff, we've heard from. Administrator Clerk report, and the fire EMS is in the packet, Administrator Clerk report.
week, turnout of 33%.
That's good.
We'll be back at the school again in April. This time they will be in the gym. We've already talking about some tweaks to it, but I think everybody's happy. Big thanks to the school. And then also, if everybody wasn't aware, Debbie Hollingsworth was there all day at the school, walking around the school most of the, while school's in session, so full shift there. So big thank you to the Sheriff's Department and the school, and also our poll works department and all our poll workers for assisting in making the day successful.
All right. DPW report, anything there? It's on the agenda, of course, tonight, but.
Continue to be status quo. Been busy snow plowing. I know that we're starting to do some sod damage. We have a fair amount of sod damage and stuff after these last two bouts of snow, the last two Thursdays. Couple substantial impacts where trucks either went off the road. We had one issue where there was a FedEx truck blocking one of the roads. Can't think of it now, but it caused our snowplow to kind of go into the ditch and tore up the ditch. We really get the truck out ourselves, but we'll send crews out to go address that stuff. So they've been busy that, and then we'll start here with brush related trimming along our roads that are going to be paved this summer. That is it.
Thank you. Finances, accounts payable, March 2nd, 2023.
So you're in your packet, so there'll be two things, on the table in front of you is, tax refunds. The other one was in the packet. If there's any questions, just let me know. I'm more than happy to, come to answer them here. If not, I can get you an answer either after the meeting or tomorrow.
Yeah, and I did not see FOTHAS, I told you that, so I'll have to look at that. I'd like to look at that detail. That's one of the largest ones on the list. But I did notice on Home Depot, the bill is saying these orders were from John Henneberry. Is that because, why? Shouldn't have the cards anymore.
Yeah. Let's see.
That was for painting and painting supplies, and I assume it's for in here.
Yes, I think the Home Depot card may have still been active at that time. Won't get it canceled and
Reissued in,
reissued to one of our items.
right?
So it was not him that did it. It was that one, and that card is Town of Vernon card where our other cards have been
Okay, so it's probably just under his name.
just under his name.
So maybe the
It's
card's
not
still good, but put it under your,
Yeah,
your name.
Where the other cards have been part of, were more associated with the individual than the organization. And the paint there and that stuff was for, as you can see, you guys noticed, the sprucing up of this room in the hallway.
Right.
Brad, I can't pull up any AP in the packet. I haven't seen any AP.
Out on documents on demand.
You guys able to find it?
No, I couldn't get APs on the computer side.
Apologize.
I'm trying to think how best to proceed now. If we approve them and allow everybody to get their questions answered before the checks are mailed and bring them back if we need to,
We just wanna wait till after closed session.
or we can wait till after closed session, we could do that.
I-
Get some further information perhaps. Okay. Why don't we wait for accounts payable and the tax refunds, so we keep them together. Any manual checks?
No manual checks.
Okay. Next up are minutes. And the minutes were just posted too. Do people have a,
Those were in the pack.
they're in the packet. Just the February 2nd, I did have a chance to read them, and I did catch some typos, so maybe what we should do is take that up after closed session, and people can look at, you can look at the typos, make sure they're A-okay. So we'll just defer that as well. 8th and 16th are gonna be tabled eventually anyway, aren't they? Yes, because you don't have them done. Announcement of next village meeting dates. We've got March 14th, 2023 at a time to be determined. That will be our rehearing of the conditional use permit for Diamond Communications with a carryover date of March 15th if necessary. And we have that, I think, tentatively scheduled, maybe now hard scheduled at the Painters Union off of National Avenue, so we'll have a big room. Then we have our regular board meeting, March 16th, 2023, 7 PM, and April 6th, 2023, 7 PM is our next one. In April, there is no Plan Commission meeting in March. And so residents residents of nearby villages, keep an eye on our postings for the rehearing. I know there's interest. And that should be firmed up very, very shortly. So we're on to number 11, the closed session. I read it in number 4, and I will make the motion as read and printed in the agenda to go into closed session. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Roll call vote?
President Fortner,
Yes.
trustee Slaney,
Yes.
trustee DeGrave,
Yes.
trustee Newman,
Yes.
trustee Dashick.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. We are in closed session. Mr. Reitler is here, so that's good. We'll start with him.